So next up today on NN Startup, delighted to be joined by Nicky Buckley from East Midlands HR. Nicky, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to have a chat to me.
Yeah, no, looking forward to this because you've got a four-year startup journey and everything that you've enjoyed over the last 4 years as a startup business. But before we sort of talk about that, do you want to give us an introduction to who you are, what you do, and how you help your clients?
Yeah, so I'm a outsourced HR consultant with recruitment services as well. So not a fully blown recruitment agency, but we do little bits of recruitment. So basically, what we do is we partner businesses for people performance productivity. That's what we're all about. Is making sure that businesses from whatever size have the right practices and processes in place to help them to be really effective and get the most from the employees. Look, we all know it's difficult to recruit people and retention can be an issue. So if you've got some good things going on, let us help them get them better, or let us get you started so that you know you've got good HR people practices in place. And that's what we do. We have a number of different options, from bespoke packages, from retainer packages, to maybe we just do ad hoc project work and very specialist things. Sometimes we get involved with TUPE projects as well. So it can be a sort of like a broad range, but our specific thing is the small businesses, and I've got clients from anything from 2 employees to 122. And it depends on different sizes of sector, how many sort of like admin people. You may have an office manager, so you don't need all the full admin backup. Again, that's why we kind of don't have prices sort of as such. It all depends on what level of service you need. And again, my background is logistics. So I've predominantly been in warehousing and distribution, worked for a major number of organisations, funny enough, in the Northamptonshire area, but originally from the Northwest. And I kind of fell into the logistics role. I started off as a first line manager for Marks and Spencer's warehouse, so I know quite a bit about warehousing, and that's where I really got into the developing teams and the people practices as well to make it really good fun. And I really enjoyed that. And then from there, I did go into HR, studied my CIPD qualification, to then move to Northamptonshire, where we've been here for the last 15 years. And that's kind of, yeah, what we do.
Yeah, fantastic. So 4 years of running your business. How have you found it in the last 4 years?
Oh,
Exciting?
I'll be. This is the start of year 4, so I think this is a bit more organised, a bit more planning has gone into this. So this is looking. I'm glad I've stuck to it, because we started in 2019 and we kind of pressed the button and registered. I thought, okay, I've done it now. What does that mean? So I kind of think for anybody starting a business, probably do a bit more research first. Just what does it mean to start running a business? I went down the limited company route. I know you've got to make a decision whether you do self-employed or limited company, so there's things to consider about that. Then obviously when 2020 came and the dreaded old COVID, I kind of thought, okay, let's I've obviously got HR skills, so I can use them to be employed as well. So I basically run both the limited company and I was employed as well, which was brilliant because it helped me continue with the small number of clients I had. And obviously a lot of things just sort of stopped in COVID. But it meant I could still get the money coming in, because that's obviously important. Things that people starting a business must consider, that where's your income stream going to come from. So I could do both at the same time. So then think, okay, right, I need some help with this. Get into 2021, I went on a specialist program for HR consultants to help them get set up, and it was probably the best thing I ever did. I've met some fantastic people through that. I know there's a couple of other people that have been on that program as well. I'm still in touch with everybody on probably a monthly basis, and more so I've been able to have a wider associate network in the Midlands area. So I've got contacts in West Midlands and in Birmingham area, so we really can cover the whole Midlands piece if need be. So we work as an associate team, so it isn't just me as the standalone HR consultant, because I know sometimes people can get a bit upset if they think, okay, well, what if something happens to her? Who else is going to do work? Or if it's a bigger project, so it might be a TUPE transfer, or it may be a major redundancy program and you need lots of consultation support, then that's where the wider network is there, so that I can support with that as well. So and then went to 2023, we started to double the turnover. So I was really pleased with the end results. I pressed the button yesterday and could say, okay, well, how have we done? So that's really was brilliant for me, and I could see things that happen. But it also meant that I'd be able to invest in myself. So I put myself on a few training courses as well. Also working with virtual PAs as well. So I'm supporting other people in the Northamptonshire, Leicester area as well with their employment. I work with a HR advisor as well. So that's really meant we can expand the business and take on new clients. And that's why we are working on new packages at the moment. So it's all exciting stuff, all ready to start launching. So it's not just the retainer ad hoc projects and the HR system that will give you everything you need to have the straightforward, efficient processes and procedures in place. But we're really now looking to make sure that they're effective, and that all that then brings the value to an organisation in terms of delivering objectives, profit, turnover, the values, employer brand, all that sort of thing. So you people, clients with small, medium-sized businesses can have the same level of HR support as a larger organisation does, but for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and you know what you offer is obviously tremendous value to people as well, and especially those that need it as well when it comes to employing people as well. But I'm glad you mentioned about the sort of the transition from employment to self-employment, and obviously COVID, I think, is hit everybody, as we know, in different ways. But the whole step from employment into self-employment is such a big step. And I know myself, I think the biggest challenge I had when I started out, 13, 14 years ago now, was how to cope without money coming in, because that was one of the biggest challenges I think anybody faces when they go into starting a business is, what do you do with your time? You can't have those luxuries anymore as easy as you can. And, reining the finances was the thing we did. You had to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's lots of systems and things you can use to automate, but when you're kind of setting up, you don't want to spend the money on those tools. So I'm thinking of like accountancy software. So I remember the days I had spreadsheets and the old things, and it was I used to hate it. It was like half-day spreadsheet day. I've got to do this today, balance it all up, do all this. And I'm thinking, okay, now it's done in a click of a button because I'm using software to do this. So I'd suggest, kind of, yes, you want to do things yourself, but also your time is money. So look at the marketing software out there and get some support with marketing and websites and all the things that's going to make you put your business in front of other people to get your income coming in, because it's having that kind of buffer. And that's something I've always had is I've always wanted to have a buffer so that I know things are there in place. Obviously I pay myself, so I need to pay myself a wage, but in the background think about, okay, how can I automate these processes so that at some point, as it does get bigger and gets better, it's a lot quicker and slicker and more efficient.
Yeah. So how did you actually find the transition from being an HR professional like you are, to having to learn those things like marketing and selling and things like that, because it's such a big transition as well. And I know the mistake I made was I walked into a network meeting. I think there was about 60 people in the room at the time back in 2009, and someone bought from me there and then. They actually said, "Deb, we need your services." And I'm thinking, wow, it's that easy. It's straightforward. This is really simple. There's 59 other people I can go and talk to next week, and I'm going to have a client base, but it's not that easy, is it?
No, it's not. And I'd probably say try to just be yourself. Don't try and be something that you're not. If you're setting up, say you're setting up so that you are starting up, people like to work with people. So it's, again, just be yourself. But it is very different from being employed and me going off to work over on one of the industrial estates as I did 5 days a week, or sometimes 6 or 7, and you think, okay, this is very different. Now I am set up at home with the desk. Did start up on the dining room table, as probably most people would. Now, so one of the rooms is now completely his office and set up, and more things are here. But it's just making sure that you've got that network as well of people that you can go to if things aren't right. So I was like part of the CIPD. I was co-chair. I'm now chair of the CIPD Northamptonshire branch. So we had an independence group, and that's been really good. Now we've done some slight changes to that, which is a bit of hot off the press, but our network of HR people is still there. So there are people to speak to. And I know I've been able to chat to other people, HR consultants getting set up as well. We all do things. Some things we do the same, some things we do very differently, and we offer different services. So I wouldn't see that necessarily as a competitive thing. It is just actually, these are associates and consultants that you can work with.
Yeah, brilliant. Now let's talk about some of the exciting times of running a business, because obviously there are some big benefits. I know for me, time is flexible. We can manage our own time. We haven't got that holiday request going into somebody to say, "Hi, please, Mr. Manager, can I have some time off today to go and enjoy the sunshine or whatever?" But what sort of benefits have you found of running your own company?
Definitely the flexibility and the lack of, I don't have to commute anywhere as such. I know I obviously go to networking events, and I will, when you do a commute, it's more of an event and a trip type thing. So it's not the necessarily day to day that you think, oh, right, I'm going to get stuck in traffic at the same time. But you've got the flexibility to work when you want, and how you want. But also you've got, I'm working with different clients, and that's what I really like, is the variety of work. So it's not just the same sort of, say it is logistics experience. Actually, I've got hospitality, charity sectors, and they're all very different, with very different people needs and people support that they need.
Yeah, great. I mean, obviously, I was exactly the same. So, before I came into running a business, it was I was employed as a head of an accounting team. So, I had a team of people working underneath me, and I think the whole transition, your whole mindset changes, isn't it? Now it's like, well, what can I do during the day? Whereas when I was kind of employed, I was kind of thinking, okay, I need to go and face this today, and I don't really want to, because I know for a start, my journey from Wellingborough at the time over to Brackley, it's a good old 70-mile round trip.
Yeah.
Long old journey every day. But for me, I was always going to be going into something for somebody else. Whereas when you're working for yourself, there are those benefits of, obviously, you're in control of your own destiny, whether it's a positive experience or a negative one. You're still in control of that destiny. And
yeah, I mean,
that's what I found.
I do block time out. So I do try and make sure, okay, like the mornings is normally client work in the morning, and then I'll block out the time to do social media, and then block out the time to do the marketing. So it's always getting covered, and you can, I like color coding as well. So everything's color coded, so that you can kind of say, okay, what capacity have I got to do when? And that's when I started to look at, okay, this is where I'm going to need some extra admin support for me to do all these other bits. This is when I need somebody else as well. So I think that's really key, is that as much as you have the flexibility, sometimes you've got to say, actually, I can't do all this all on my own.
Yeah, and that's key as well. It's a key message as well, because I think so many people, when they start a business, they sort of think, well, I haven't got a lot of money, I need to find a way of managing all this myself. But really, the business owner or the entrepreneur or whoever it is should really focus on what their key strengths are, really, and work with other people. And I know it sounds strange that you're spending money that you might not have generated, which is always another conversation to be had. But I think at the end of the day, you're right. It is about working and playing to your strengths rather than trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Brilliant. So positives. What about the negatives? Obviously, you mentioned about isolation a minute ago. I mean, let's talk
I
through
still
some of
have
the
some of the
challenges.
long days where I've been sat at the desk at 9 o'clock at night because I'm trying to work out how to do things, and it's just like reading all the help pages. I mean, my first website I set up myself, and and it wasn't the best as such, and it was click on the help page. How do I do that? I haven't done this, haven't done that, and you think, oh, right, okay, this is taking me forever in a day. And you think, okay, in hindsight, yeah, if there'd been money there, this is what I probably would say, make sure you've got funds to look at getting things set up in the first place, rather than just saying, okay, let's go and let's press the button and get registered. Okay, have some funds and a back sort of thing to set you up in the, like a startup fee, I should probably say, so that you've got funds to cover the essential things that is going to get you noticed and out there. Marketing, yeah, that's another dark art, and there's lots of people that can help with that. So just working out how you're going to do this, what message are you going to do, how you're going to do it, just so that you can try and be consistent. And I know that's one of the things I need to be working on, is the consistency. Obviously LinkedIn is great, but again, you need to be consistent on there. So it's trying to block that time out, so you're managing your time and not getting, okay, I've got to do this, got to do that. It's just that you're not getting too overwhelmed with everything. I suppose that's where I'm trying to get to, is it is really easy to become overwhelmed. There's too much to do. Your to-do list is an A4 pad, and you're thinking, oh my God, never going to get through all this. break it down into chunks, make it all manageable, and just plan it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear somebody else has got a color-coded spreadsheet, because I have as well, and it's brilliant. So mine's like a tube map. It's incredible, actually. It's got so many different colors on there, but it helps me. It keeps me moving. I can move things around within the spreadsheet, and obviously it keeps me accountable to things as well, which is great as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, I was talking to Angela Turton from Action Coach earlier. We were talking a bit about business planning and business growth, and of course, part of business growth would be taking on that first employee. So obviously that's something you can advise and help people on if they're looking to take on that first employee as they grow.
Yeah, so taking on your first employee, it shouldn't be a scary thing. It should be a really exciting thing, but there is some set processes you need to do. You need to have a contract of employment. I should go back one step. Obviously, you should go through a recruitment process. The main thing is to make sure that it's not discriminatory in any way. Make sure you've got all good record keeping. There's lots of free tools that you can use, and those free tools, you can make them better. So I'm talking about Indeed pages. There's lots of hints and tips that we provide as a free service to help your Indeed page stand out to candidates, so that you're attracting the best candidates through the email process that you can, which obviously then saves you time. So try and get the best candidate, but once you've got that best candidate, look at the onboarding process. So you'll need to do the right to work, legal right to work checks. We have specialist software so that we can do that for UK and Ireland passport holders. We have to then get them verified by the employer or whoever's interviewed them as well, but that saves a lot of time as well. And then the contract of employment, again, you could say there's bespoke templates, and you could pull one from various pages, but you really should make it bespoke to you, so that you put in the right details of how that contract, because once that contract's in place, yes, you could change it down the line if you want to, but it's always good to have a standard contract template, have the right contract. So you might be looking to putting somebody on a fixed term or 0 hours. Well, the special thing is you need to have wording in those contracts rather than just go for permanent in the first place. Then you've got standard policies. You need to have disciplinary and grievance policy. They're your standard ones. But also we recommend you have a privacy policy as well, because that then fits in with your recruitment. So any candidates would know, well, actually, what happened to my data? Because again, whole data processing and GDPR, that's another big minefield. So that's something that people need to be aware of.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think it's great to raise that as well. So, people obviously started out the journey, think about that first sale, first customer. But obviously, if you are planning into the future about taking somebody on, because business can explode very quickly in a positive way, then obviously, some great advice there, Nicky. So thanks for sharing that with us. And I suppose the only final thing to say is really, good luck for what the future brings, because year 4, fantastic.
Yep.
Starting the 4th year, and long may it continue.